Cakes can be served at hundreds of events, and I've been making them since 10 years old. Seen here is one of my favorite cakes that I have made. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to ice a cake following the simple steps of gathering your materials, getting rid of crumbs, and adding a final layer with embellishments. Let's get started. The first step to icing the perfect cake is to gather your supplies. First, you'll need to have at least 2 round cake layers and a large bowl of pre-made buttercream icing. In order to have the best looking cake, you should have a few tools including a long, flat knife, an offset spatula, and a pastry turntable. Finally, make sure to prep a clean workspace, wash your hands, and get rid of any distractions. Now that you have all of your materials, you should prep your cake for confection perfection. You should already have at least 2 layers of round cakes, but before you can stack or ice them, you'll need to make sure they're leveled. According to Melissa Clark in a 2016 article from the New York Times on how to frost a cake, this step includes using your knife in order to cut off any risen sections from the top of the cake, being sure to level each layer. The result should look just like the picture, where the top of each layer is smooth and flat. This will allow for an evenly layered final product. Now for the fun part. The next step of icing a professional-looking cake is called crumb coating. According to Wendy McRowan in a 2016 article about how to properly use buttercream on her website, craftsy.com, this step involves creating an icing layer that acts as a glue to keep any crumbs out of the final iced layer. To do this, place the first cake layer in the center of your turntable with the freshly cut side facing up. Spread a generous amount of buttercream over the top and spread any excess to the sides. Place any additional layers directly on top of the previous, continuing this process until each layer of cake is properly placed and iced. For the top layer of cake, make sure to have the bottom side, or the side that you didn't cut, facing up. This will greatly reduce the amount of crumbs produced in following steps. Now that you have a stacked cake with even layers and frosting seeping out from the sides, use a spatula placed horizontally against the edge of the cake and slowly turn the turntable in order to create a smooth, flat side edge. If there is not enough icing to cover all of the sides, simply add a small dollop and keep rotating. You'll know you've created a successful crumb coat when the sides are completely flat and there's no loose crumbs. To set this in place and keep any remaining crumbs out of your final layer, put the cake in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes to stiffen up. When the 30-minute mark has passed, retrieve your cake and get excited for icing. Take a large dollop of buttercream and place it on the top of the cake. With your spatula, start in the middle and use a horizontal and slightly angled motion to spread the frosting. Remember to use the turntable to turn the cake in order to get all of the angles evenly spread. Allow excess frosting to seep onto the sides. Next, ice the sides by using the spatula with a vertical orientation. Add frosting and bring the overlap from the top down in order to create a smooth surface. Don't press too hard or you will smudge the crumb coat and undo all of your hard work. According to a 2016 article from foodnetwork.com about how to frost a cake, it is always better to have too much frosting rather than too little because the excess can be taken away and it is less likely to disturb your crumb coat. Before you can get to work, you should know a few things to avoid. First, don't cut away too much of your cake layers or they will become too thin. Secondly, don't make the crumb coat too thick. This layer should be as thin as possible while still containing all crumbs in order for it to properly harden. If the layer is too thick, the icing will stay soft and crumbs will end up on the surface of your finished product. Finally, don't transfer crumbs into the icing bowl. If some are on your knife, clean it off. Congratulations! Your cake is now beautifully iced and you can feel proud to serve it at your next event. If you want to embellish your masterpiece, you can use piping tools in order to add ornate designs. Follow the instructions included with a piping kit in order to add edging or design. To recap, to ice a cake, you should gather supplies, level the layers, create a thin crumb coat, cool the cake in the fridge, carefully ice the outside layer, and add any desired embellishments. If you follow all of these steps, you're sure to have an amazingly iced cake that you'll be proud to serve to your friends and family.